Hello, hello there, everyone. Hope you are ready and out there and in good spirits. I know that I am. I should have been fishing today, but life just got in the way. That's how it goes. As always, I would like to hear if you can, if the video is okay, if the visual is okay, if the fly is nice and easy to see, and if you can hear me. So please comment here out in the commentary, and also feel free to comment on where you're from. So today we're gonna tie two flies as always. We're gonna tie. The first one is gonna be a gamarus, a scud, or a small gamarus. I don't know exactly what it's called in English. I think it's called both things. It's one of these small critters, small crustaceans that. Nice to know. Nice to know that everything works. It's a small crustacean that is very numerous. It's both in numerous in fresh water, but also in salt water. So in Denmark we use it a lot in lakes and in rivers for brown trout and grayling, but we also use it a lot for sea trouts. And the one I'm tying here is probably a pattern that will mainly be used for sea trouts. But the colors are nice, and it looks like the real thing. So as close to the real thing as you could probably get closer, but it's a fairly good imitation. It has a nice color scheme. So I hope it will turn out okay. The one that is on the front of this live stream was actually kind of based on the same ideas, but it's just a different color scheme. So the thing here, oh, it's nice to hear from all of you out there. Let me just have a quick look here. Okay. So as I was saying, we're gonna tie a scud or a gamarus. In Danish, it's called a tangloppe. And I think basically we should just get started. For this type of pattern, a curved hook is preferable. So I'm gonna use an Arix hook, an Arix that's called curved gamarus. So it's basically a hook that's designed for patterns like this. I'm gonna take a fairly large one because some of these grow quite big, and for the coastal fishing, it's nice to have a decent sized one. As you can see here, the hook is nicely curved, and this makes it easier for us to actually get the right shape of this fly here. So I'm gonna start out with my tying thread. I use a black tying thread today. That's easy, and it works really well. And for this pattern, for some reason these crustaceans, they have just an insane amount of legs, but they also have kind of like some feelers and stuff out in front. So we're gonna imitate that by taking a feather. It could be this is a Brahma, whiting Brahma, but it could be a partridge feather or whatever you have laying around. I've just run out of partridge, I think. So I use these Brahmas. This is one I've been using quite a long time. You can see some of the fluffy parts getting out here. But the Brahma saddles and capes are really awesome for things like this, and for soft hackle in particular. So I just peeled off some of the fibers here, just a small bundle, and these are gonna be the antennas out in front of the fly, and I start by tying those down, so they're on there and they're out of the way, and basically move the tying thread up along the hook shank here. There we go. Just gonna cover a lot of the shank here with thread, all the way down, and quite a bit far down into the bend here. Good to hear, Sir Sketchet. Hello, Alan from Frederikshavn. Evening, Jesper. Hello, Margareta, and Henrik, and DL Craig. So basically we're gonna do the same thing in the other end, but before we do that, we have to weight this. So to give it a bit more weight and to make sure that it's facing the right way in the water, because we have a carapace, then I'm gonna take some non-lead wire here. This was actually one too few strands. I'm gonna take this and then I'm gonna triple it. So I have 3, and then I'm gonna twist this up so it becomes as close to 1/3 as you can get. There we go. I'm gonna take one of my cheap, inexpensive scissors to cut off this twisted up part here, so that I get a nice and easy to work with. Oh, we should have. And then I'm gonna bend it into the hook here. Just gonna move my tying thread a bit back. We needed to cover the hook here with the tying thread in order to get this where we need it. There we go. So this way I'm gonna add some weight to the underside of the gamma here, and this will help it move correctly in the water. There we go. And then I move the tying thread back a good ways down into the bend. So now we have added some extra weight to the underside of the fly, and then I'm gonna take the rest of the feather here, and I'm gonna peel off the other side, so that I can get the kind of a tail on this. Exactly the same way as I did before. I fold this together into my fingers, and then I tie this on here. So it's gonna be the tail of the fly. This tail should not be very long. So along those lines looks nice, I think. There we go. Now you can see you have the tail here, and you have the antennas. I think I'm gonna move a bit further down actually. So there we go. And now basically you could just add some dubbing and you would be done. But I want to do a bit more with this pattern. So we're gonna take a really cool material that's called exo skin, of course. This is some fairly thick latex sheets that have been, the texture here is just really nice, and it is stretchy, and it just looks so freaking awesome on as a carapace. This exo skin is the coolest thing I've seen for making carapaces on both shrimps and also on these small gamma roses. So I'm gonna cut a piece out of this exo skin, and this needs to be fairly wide because we wanted to cover the top of the fly here. So this needs to be fairly wide, but as you can see, it just has some really cool. It just looks really cool. I'm gonna take my scissor and I'm gonna cut it ever so. I'm gonna try to taper it in both sides. Hello to Skane as well, and to you, Michael Hansen. So basically cut here, and cut here. So that it tapers. There we go. And then we're going to tie it. So for some reason this is more shiny on one side than on the other. So we're going to tie the shiny end. So the shiny end is facing down, so that when we turn it, the shiny end is going to stay upwards. As I said, this exo skin is cool. It's my preferred material for carapaces like this. And the color here is called pewter. A really nice color for gamma roses, but also for darker toned shrimps and stuff like that. There we go. Now we can just leave that hanging. And the next thing we need is we need to tie in some monofilament or fluorocarbon, whatever you have, as that's going to be the rib of the fly here. So I'm going to take some. This is 0.16. I don't know how much that is in the X system, but it's relatively thin. This would be my tippet for my go-to tippet for dry flies. So it's relatively thin, and this makes it a lot easier to use for a smaller pattern like this. There we go. Just gonna fasten this all the way up a bit up the hook shank, and then turn it over and tie it down so it's tied and secured doubly, so we do not risk this slipping out, because monofilament and fluorocarbon is quite slippery. It's quite slick, so it can get away from you if you really pull hard on this. There we go. Okay, now comes the next part of this fly. And for the next part of this fly, we're actually going to do quite a lot of things. Because one of the things that I really like is to mix dubbing and to do a lot of different things with dubbing. So here I have a cool color for this. It's called Chum Fry. It's a spawn dubbing. But I think this vine could probably be good just in its own right. But I would like to add some more colors and some more texture to this. Even though it's quite textured already, I would like to add more texture. So basically, I take out the bundle of dubbing that I think I need for the amount of flies that I'm going to tie, and then I'm going to mix it up with some pearl dubbing. This is, I don't know if this is ice dubbing or this is flesh-a-boo dubbing. It's one of the two. I'm also gonna add in another color to give it a bit more color. So and since I really like the yellow colors with gray, I'm gonna add some yellow as well. There we go. And then the final touch is gonna be, because these crustaceans, they have a lot of legs sticking out everywhere. So to get that effect, I'm gonna add some deer hairs to the mix. I like to add deer hairs to dubbing mixes like this. There we go. Now I have all of these things here combined, laying on top of one another. So basically what I do is I pull it apart, and then I place it on top of itself. And I just do this a lot to mix up the dubbing. And as you can see, I get all the deer hairs in there. I get all the different colors of dubbing, nice and twisted up together. There we go. And every time I pull something out, I turn it over and then place it back on top of the pile. So I pull it apart, then turn it, and then put it back. There we go. And now I have a nice mix of yellow flesh fibers combined with the pearl, with the spawn dubbing, and also these deer hairs. And this is really a good way of doing it. So you can of course mix that up with in any color scheme that you like, and it's just something that I think is really cool. And the way I do that mostly. Now it's time to make a dubbing loop for this fly. So I'm gonna take my my Swiss CDC loop tool. I'm gonna place it inside there. The other one inside there. So it's gonna be a lot easier for me. There we go. I'm gonna tie down the loop together around the bend here. I think I have shown how to use this one before. If I haven't, then basically this is a strange looking tool, but it helps me keep my dubbing loop open, and easy to close it again. And this one does a lot of other stuff. It's a really cool tool. There's a lot of tutorials around showing exactly how this works, but it's a really nice tool. So I'm gonna take some dubbing here, and I'm gonna place it inside my dubbing loop. There we go. I think this is sufficient. Maybe it's a little too, maybe it's not enough. So I'm just gonna add a bit more. There we go. Catching the dubbing with the end of the tool here. And basically I'm gonna spin my loop. There we go. I think I made my dubbing loop a bit too small. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. I'm gonna move my thread all the way up to the front of the fly here, and then I'm gonna start turning my dubbing. And as you can see, this really is gonna be one shaggy, buggy looking fly here. There we go. All the way up to the eye. Alright. It got there pretty nice. I think I I managed to do that perfectly. I'm gonna cut away the rest of the dubbing loop here. And as you can see, these deer hairs, they really just stand out everywhere. It's looking nice and ragged and shaggy. And then I'm gonna brush the dubbing down so there's not much dubbing on the top of the fly here. Is the screen black? Is everything working? I hope it still is. It looks fine from where I'm sitting. If that's any use. Okay, I'm just gonna continue here until I hear. Oh, fine, perfect, thank you. So I'm gonna brush the dubbing down with my dubbing brush, and then I'm gonna take the exoskin and get it as evenly as I can on top of the hook here. I'm gonna make a. Oh, I'm gonna show you on the other screen, of course. This is quite crucial. Okay, perfect. So as I said, I'm gonna turn over my my carapace, and then I'm gonna make one turn that is loose before I apply some pressure. There we go. Fold everything back, and then apply some pressure. I'm gonna take a look at how it looks from. You see how it looks from upside? It really looks awesome. This this exoskin. It looks very like something straight out of the river. So there we go. And then I'm gonna pull on the exoskin here to stretchen it out so that I can cut as close to as possible. Now it's really important that you are sure you have tied down your exoskin when you do this, because otherwise you will you will lose it, and you'll have to not completely start over, but almost. Then I'm gonna take my rib, and then I'm gonna tighten the rib, but only when I'm underneath the fly here, so that it creates these bumps in the exoskin. That first one was not completely where I want it to be. Let's try it there instead. That's better. try to get as little as possible of the material stuck on the upper side of this. There we go. There we go. That was the last turn here. Then I'm gonna tie down my rib. There we go. And I'm gonna cut that away. And as I said, this is one of the most deadly all-round patterns out there, because it really looks like something that trout knows and trout feed upon. So it really is a good go-to kind of fly, type of fly, these crustaceans. So now you can see the dubbing here is quite long, and longer than what I want it to be. So I'm gonna hold it, and then I'm gonna pull it with my fingers in order to shorten it. Not gonna cut it, I'm gonna pull it, because if I cut it with the scissors, then it's gonna look way too it's not gonna look like the real thing. It's not gonna look like a gamos. It's not gonna look like a scud. I think I need to brush out a bit more on your side. It looks quite nice, but there's just a small amount more that needs to be cut out, pulled out on your side. Would like a bit more of the deer hairs, one or two of a bit more of the deer hairs pulled out here. There we go. And well, basically, there you have it. You can, if you want, you can leave out the carapace. If you just do the tail and the dubbing here, and hello to San Diego. Okay, it looks good, everyone says. So I guess that's I guess it was just, you know, for some people. I don't know. I don't know if they just if you just lost your internet connection for a split second, or what happened. I'm sorry about that, but it seems to be fine. So yeah. Well, basically, some people would like, and I can do that. I'm gonna try that, but I'm not sure it's gonna look better. But we can try that, because the texture here of this exoskin is so really cool. Then I don't normally add. Hello, Thomas. Good evening to you as well. I don't normally add UV glue, but on some flies, the UV glue really makes them stand out. So if you want, we can try that. So basically, let me hear. Do you want me to add some UV glue, or do you want it to leave it as it is? You decide. You decide. I have the UV glue right here. It's ready. It's good to go. I have my torch and everything. So and on some patterns it just looks freaking awesome, but on other patterns not so much. So let me hear what you think, and then we're gonna go that way. This pattern is really good for the coastal sea trout on those days where the weather is really flat and calm, and you can see the fish rising and breaking the surface, and just, you know, making small splashes and stuff like that. That's very often that's you want the glue added. I see, some of you at least, as is. I don't know what that snowman I don't know what that means, Jesper. But when the sea trouts are a bit wary and you're fishing light leaders, and you see fish not splashing, but just breaking the surface every now and then. It's very often you'll have the same thing in rivers. It's very often these scuds, these gamarus that they're feeding on, and then a fly like this can definitely do the trick. And compared to a lot of other patterns, then you need to fish this fairly slowly. Glue, glue, glue. You all want the glue. So we're doing the glue, I guess. Okay. I just think it's so pretty without, but let's see. Let's see. Let's hope I do not mess this up too bad. Okay. So I'm gonna take my UV glue here. If it wants to come out of the bottle. Oh, there it is. Then very gentle. The thing about the UV glue when you add that is you cannot see the really cool effect of the bumps from the. You have to do this in one go. Now I don't need to mess around with the. Now I don't need to mess around with some Sabagap or anything else. Also, so there is that. It does not look completely even here. Why is that? I'm just going to use the rotation of the vise to get the glue into position. It actually looks pretty good, I think. What say thee? It looks pretty good. It gets a bit shiny with all the lights that I have here, but we're gonna try to add the torch. Oh, there's something not completely perfect here. Okay, and then we're gonna shine the light. I don't know if you can see it, but those yellow fibers that we added, those are really fluorescent. So they will give a nice fluorescent effect. The thing that a lot of people call UV, which it is not, but it's it's what many people call UV, and this really also adds to the pattern. So let's hear the verdict. How do you like it? Do you like it better now, or did you like it better before? I don't know. Maybe I should bring the fly closer. I don't know if I can do that, but I can try. Nah, I can't. So, do you like the fly better now, or did you like it better before? I think the glue is actually pretty cool, but it's also something that adds weight to it. So it will probably help the fly no, it will put the fly at risk of actually turning the wrong way, I think. Yeah, exactly, René. The ribbing completely disappears, and you don't get that kind of yeah. I like, and you don't get that effect of it actually being segmented. That the rib and combined with the exo skin really gives that impression of the fly being segmented, being divided into parts, and I like that a lot. I don't think it actually matters that much to the trout. But at least it looks really cool in the vise and really good in the box. But this of course adds a bit of shine. So well, I don't know. I think it looks cool both ways, but each to his own liking. I think I liked it better before though. A bit better before. And you can of course now you could add another layer and another layer and another layer, and you would get a really see-through carapace, and you could build it very high and stuff like that. And that looks really nice on Instagram and really nice on pictures. But well, it's it's not gonna have that big of an effect out on the water. I have one here. I can show you the two different ones. I have one here without the glue. That I accidentally drew on, so it's not as perfect as I would like it, but it's still good as well. You can't see the difference here. It's impossible to show off the difference. Oh well, it looks more crunchy now. Yeah, I agree, Craig. But you know, the UV glue, it has its, yeah. I don't know. I think I liked it better before as well. But I can see that this really it divides you out there, and that's perfectly fine as well. Oh, and I got a new vise, by the way. I really like this new vise. Very nice. The Rensetti Master in custom colors. That is a piece of engineering, and just absolutely awesome, this one. Oh well, I think we should move on to the next one. As I said, this fly here, this pattern here, you can change up the colors any way you like. I always like these small ones, but I like them I like them a lot in darker colors, and to have some UV effect in there. So if you add some orange or some pink or some yellow like this one, it's really good. Or no, it's teal blue. Yes, but teal blue. It's not baby blue. It's teal blue. Um, and as I said, these are really deadly. And I've done one of these crustaceans as well, where I have a tungsten bead in the middle of the fly. And those are really good for upstream fishing in rivers and stuff like that, because these small things here, the gamos, the scuds, they're some of the most tolerant species of pollution. So when many of the stoneflies and mayflies in rivers that has been slightly polluted, and a lot of the really demanding species of insects uh, have died, then there will still be loads and loads of these. So it's really got good both fished upstream and swinging downstream and across for grayling and brown trout as well, and rainbows, of course. Okay, then we're off to the next one. And for this next one, I'm gonna mess my tying disc up a bit. We're gonna do a worm. And we're gonna do a worm on shanks. I did one that was a fly tying tutorial a few weeks back, but now I'm gonna do it as as a live stream as well. But I'm not gonna do exactly the same. I'm gonna do a variation of the other one, and this one is a fly that I've called the second worm, because basically some years ago I saw a pattern that I didn't have a name for, and I didn't know who was the first one to tie, and I dubbed that the one worm, because I thought that was without a doubt the best polykeyed worm I would ever see. And then last year I got some shanks, and I tried to, yes, yeah, cheers out there as well. I haven't got any beers. I don't have any sodas, and I forgot to bring some water. So if I start my voice starting getting croaky, more croaky, then it's probably just because I have to talk for an hour straight now. But as I said, I made this pattern, or saw this pattern, and I didn't know who had dubbed it, so I dubbed it the one worm, and then I did one with shanks that fishes even better. So of course that had to be the second worm, because it was basically the same as the one worm, but just tied on shanks. And this is a really awesome way of doing this. It's the best way I have ever come across to tie these polychaete worms, because they have a lot of movement, and they don't tangle as much as the one worm did. So this is really in my opinion the absolutely best way of doing this. For this one, we're not going to use that many materials. We're going to use 3 shanks and a hook, and then we're going to use some marabou and some dubbing in purplish, some flesh dubbing in purple. So let's get on with this then. This is the first part of the fly, and this is also the hook. I'm gonna swap camera, of course. There we go. So I'm just gonna tie down to where the hook starts to bend here, and I'm gonna cut it away. It's exactly the same hook as we used before. This is again the Arix curved Gamaros. And then for this we need some different colors of marabou, and I like the Woolly-Bugger marabou because it's not as long, and you can of course again mix this up as much as you like, but I find that the colors that are best suited for the worms that we have in Denmark are something in this olive tone and in the brown one, and if you mix those with purple or even blue, it looks really much like the actual thing. And the thing about this fly is the movement it has in the water is just phenomenal, just absolutely phenomenal. So we're gonna take some of this Woolly-Bugger marabou as the tail. Let me just find one that is nice. Just a single feather here. There we go. And we do not want too much of this as the tail. So basically I'm gonna trim off one of the sides here. There we go. Oh, I'm gonna have to change camera. Trim off one of the sides. So I get a small tail for this. It don't have to be it does not have to be a long tail for this one, since the fly is relatively long. So just something along those lines there looks nice and easy and works. There we go. Just tying all that away. There we go. So now I have the tail, and now comes the really messy part, because I have to take a lot of these feathers here, and then I have to mix them up. I have to peel off the marabou here of the sides, and then I'm gonna put them down in a pile. And once I have normally when I do this fly, I make more than one, because it's just so messy. So I take maybe 3 feathers, for we don't need that much, and basically I just rip off all the marabou feather things, feather strands, and then I put them in a pile to one side. Then I do the same with the brown one. I take 2 or 3 brown feathers. That was a good one, and this one is nice as well. You're so quiet out there. Have I lost you completely, or has the live stream stopped, or what? Have any of you tried this this way of tying worms on shanks? Have you tried any shank patterns? Do you use shanks for your articulated streamers or for anything? You could make a killer Woolly-Bugger as well with these shanks. So I have the 2 brown feathers, and I'm gonna do the same thing with those. And because this is so messy, it's these marabou fibers, hackle fibers, are gonna be all over the place when I'm done here. So normally I have the vacuum close at hand, and then when I decide to tie these, I tie more than one. So basically I just mix up a whole bunch of dubbing, and then I tie more than one. So now I have a pretty nice pile of the dubbing here, of the marabou, and then I'm gonna take some of this purple hued ice dubbing. And then, as I did before, and this is a bit difficult without having an actual table to do this on, I'm gonna do exactly what we did before. I'm gonna pull it apart, turn it over, and as you can see, there's just marabou all over. There was a complete feather there. We don't need that. So I mix this up as much as I can, and this will be a really, you can see how how it just rains marabou on the tying desk here. But it really has an awesome effect, this. So you get this. Yeah, intruders is nice as well. You get this pile that has the really perfect color for the Danish polychaete worm, and what we do is we use this as the dubbing. So I'm gonna make my dubbing loop. There we go. Oh, I forgot to use the. And then I'm gonna take some of the dubbing here, some of the mix of marabou and ice dubbing. This would have been easier with the tool. Place it inside the dubbing loop. Place it inside the dubbing loop. And then I spin the dubbing loop. And you can see, you get this really ragged looking dubbing here from the marabou that is insanely live in the water, and it's not heavy at all. So it just has the nice ragged look of a ragworm, without adding too much weight to the fly. And because marabou is so lively in the water, it will really help with giving this worm effect on the fly. There we go. And if we want, we can of course brush some of this out later on, to help taper it correctly, completely perfectly. There we go. Then I tie this down and cut away the tying cord. I think actually, probably just like this, it would probably be pretty good. No. If you know that you need these, Rene, you could tie these in the summertime when you're not needing those, and you could tie them on the outside with a nice cold beer and stuff like that. That would probably be pretty good. So that's the first part of this. And this is of course really shaggy now, but we can always adjust. But in the water, this will collapse quite a lot, and make this fly a lot easier to handle. So I have one of these. This is a pretty cool thing. This is a spawn box with 12 different sizes. It has shanks in the size from 9mm to 20mm. There is two different. There's one with 5 shanks in each and one with 50 shanks in each. So really cool way of getting all your shanks for all flies like this. Yeah, I've heard about that, Henrik, and I even bought one. I bought an electric one, but it's I can see it from here, but I actually never tried it out. That's a coffee grinder I bought. I heard that could be used for the dubbing, but yeah, exactly, Rene, exactly. You can sit and look at exactly where this fly is going to be used. So I'm going to take some shanks here. And the next two parts, depending on how big you want this, I'm going to go with something that is about 10, 11 millimeters, something along those lines, for the next two sections. So I'm going to take the shank here. Then I'm going to open it and add it. Put the hook through. going to add that to the vise. There we go. And I'm going to close the shank with my tying thread. And just in order to give this a more ragged look, and to be sure that that there is not a gap between the different sections, I'm going to take another of the marabou feathers here. And this sculpin olive is just such a nice color, I think. The pure olive is cool as well, and would have looked nice on it as well, but I really just like this color here. So I'm gonna take some of the marabou off, fold it with my fingers, and then I'm gonna use that to kind of cover the gap of the fly. So I'm gonna actually do almost exactly the same as I did on the, well, not almost, but exactly the same as I did on the first part of the fly. I made a tail from the olive marabou, making sure it's all the way to where I need it. And then I make another dubbing loop. Where is my tool now? Here it is. Then basically I do the same as before. I take some dubbing, some of this fluffy, flurry things here, put it inside my dubbing loop, all the way up, fold my dubbing loop. Why is this bothering me? Doesn't normally do that. There we go. And then I'm ready to spin the dubbing loop. I don't know how much you can see on that, but you can see the dubbing loop here. So I get the purple mixed inside with the two different marabous. And as you can see, this pattern is really looking like the real thing, but it's really inexpensive to make, and really, well, as soon as you get the technique down, it's also quite easy, because it's basically just the same actions you do a few times. There we go. I'm gonna cut away that thing, fold everything back. Then I make another whip finish. I take another shank of the same length, and here I have found that 3 shanks is the perfect length, and the last one has to be a bit longer than the other 2. This is just because if you do it like this, then it won't tangle as much. So I take another shank, get that on there, making sure the others. Martin, regarding the shanks, then I haven't come across any. Of course, if you take a really small dry fly hook or something like along those lines, then they won't fit. But for your average hook down to maybe a size 10 or maybe even 12 in most of the sizes, at least for the Arix hooks, then they will fit there. So you can use these quite far down in size, because the wire here is not that thick. So you can definitely get most hooks on there. Yeah, the Brenda worm is nice as well. Yeah, I thought it was you, René. René, your den, your fly tie. I saw your fly tying den on Facebook with your new edition of the Master Vice in blue as well. And it looked like a pretty neat workstation you had there. So you finally had an excuse to tidy up. You got a new vice. Okay, then it's back to the grind of doing exactly this. Stay back, please. There we go. There we go. Well, Yannick, of course, this is a relatively large fly. So I mean, it's more difficult than to cast a size 12 nymph or a small wet fly. But if you have a 5 weight or a 6 weight, then you won't have any trouble at all with this one. Of course, if you're, I mean, it is a bigger fly, but it is by far uh, the easiest polykeyed worm that I know of. Also in regards to actually being able to cast it. A lot of these polykeyed worms, they get very big and they soak up a lot of water, so they are really difficult to cast. Um, and this of course is it's not a small fly, you know. It's gonna be quite long when we finish. So it is a big fly and it soak up at least some amount of water. But compared to any other of these polykeyed worms, if you tie them with tails or with anything like that, then those cast not as well as this one. So I would say that it is not the easiest fly to cast if you're fishing for sea trout. Then you know a small copper bug or something along those lines would be easier. But but compared to other worms, then this is the best and most easy to cast by far. I'm gonna add more of the dubbing here. Take my dubbing. Oh, I forgot again. Forgot to use it how it's intended, but never mind. This works. We need, of course, to pull the tying thread all the way up there. A bit much material. There we go. Gonna tie this down. Cut this away. And as you can see, this really is just really shaggy and just amazingly alive, and will just catch and catch and catch fish. And by the way, it's a full moon here tonight. So and the polykeyed worms, they really start swarming when the full moon is out. So I think if you're going fishing the next couple of days in Denmark, you should bring some worms, because they're just so easy food for the trouts, and it can be just really spectacular, and the trouts can go absolutely crazy with the worms. So I'm gonna add the final of the shanks here. And this one this one is slightly longer. This is 15 millimeters, 15 or 16 millimeters. I can't recall. It's not that important if it's 15 or 16 or 14. It just has to be a bit longer in order to get the fly moving the right way in the water, but also in order to make sure that it doesn't tangle as much. I can't explain the physics of it, but it just, this is the combination I've tried that tangles the least. So again, same recipe as before. Take a bit of the marabou, tie it in kind of like a tail to cover the transition between the shanks. There we go. And I like the Brenda worm as well, the one I did a video about. But I think that this one, in regards to how well it imitates a worm, then I think this one actually is a bit more like the real thing. I must be tired. I forgot to do the thing with the tool again. Maybe it's me that's the tool. There we go. Gonna add the final. I have marabou all over now. That's how it is. You just get covered in marabou fibers. But, that's how it is. So, as I said, I recommend that you tie more than one of these at one go. There we go. Was a little too dense. And out here in the front of this, I like to have a hackle. It's not necessarily needed, but I think it just ends the fly really well. So I'm gonna tie it down here, and then I'm gonna use a Brahma hackle, kind of we did as we did on the other one. I think this one is about right. Yeah. To finish off the fly here, I just messed the whole thing up. There is marabou all over. Tie this hackle down here just in front of the fly. Cut away the snip here, and then turn this. Again, you can of course go with the partridge again if you like, but I think that this really looks nice as kind of the finishing touch on the fly here, to have something that it has a little contrast to the rest. There we go. It's a freaking awesome pattern, this one. It really is an awesome pattern. Do a whip finish. Add a bit of Sabagap. And you have the finished result. I'm gonna move it from the vise so it's easier for you to see. And of course, if you think it's too dense, you can always just pull out some of the fibers here. If you think some of these are too long, you can really give it a nice brush through with your dubbing brush here to get it more aligned if you think it's too dense. But otherwise, and as you can see how lively it is. This is gonna move so erratically in the water because of all the shanks here. So as soon as if you retrieve this in long, slow movements, and you stop every now and then, this is just gonna wriggle and wriggle and wriggle and wriggle. Eric, I got this about 10 days ago, and we got 3, and we have 0 left. There is one in purple as well, and we have one left of those. These are numbered, and they are limited. So I think if you really want one, Eric, I can probably get one in blue for you. I have ordered 3 more, and I have a confirmation from Rensetti that they will probably be able to deliver all 3. But I don't know. The same with the purple. I was promised one more in purple, so we're gonna have 2 purple. We got 3 of each, and I've sold 2 purples and 2 blue ones. It's mine here is number. This is number 30 of 250. So it is a completely brand new thing, and it's fairly limited. Yeah, yeah, I know, Eric. I know. But I'm just saying, if ever you need one, then let me know. Um, but it's just I really like this color. I've heard a rumor that they're gonna make one, maybe in a year or so in green, and perhaps one in red as well. But I don't know if that's just talk, or if that's something that they're actually gonna do. I don't know how good how I think they've sold quite well of the blue and the purple one. But I don't know if because to make these has probably taken up quite a lot of capacity for them. So I think they're a bit behind on a lot of other vices. But I don't know. I don't know. But it's blue. What can I say? It's blue. Regarding showing you this in the water, I can try to set that up. I have the fly tester just here, so I'm gonna try to set that up. So be patient. I'm gonna try to take the camera here. By the way, these fly testers are also pretty awesome. I don't know if I don't know how this will work. Can you see the fly tester now? It seems like you can. You can see the fly tester. So I'm gonna turn on the fly tester for you, and then we should be able to put the fly in the water to see it. I just need a bit of monofilament. Here we go. Where did I do with the fly? The fly is here. So be patient. I'm gonna show you. Just have to tie some knots here. And I think I really must say these fly testers are, they are pretty much cooler than what I actually thought they would be. I got one of the old ones and was really excited about that for a short period of time, because it proved completely impossible to actually to keep it clean. So this new one is a lot easier to actually keep clean, because you can remove the tubing in there, and you can actually clean it, and it's delivered with a nice case. You can have all the where it fits completely nice and snugly in, and it's just a cool product. It's really well thought through. Also, they have added one of these, so you actually have something you can push the flies down into the water with. And here I've used demineralized water. So let's see how this looks. Just gonna get it underneath there. I think you can Can you see that? How it looks? I mean, if that doesn't look awesome, then I don't know. And if I give it a bit more slack line, it will probably move even more crazy. Yeah, it went a bit more crazy. But it really just is awesome, awesome in the water, this fly. Oops, there went the camera. Perhaps it's even better if I removed it from this one and just placed it up here. I don't know if that's better. No, it's not better up there, it's better down there. The line here is so thin I can't see if it actually gets in the right way. Then there are these, there are some small, that's too close. On here you get something so you can keep your fly in there. So there we go. I'm just gonna take out the camera and do this manually. Sorry about that. So you can really see how that moves. Yeah, it just is absolutely amazing. And you know, you can do this. Of course, you can take this fly. Oh, I wanted to show you something else. That's quite cool. I've sorted all my dubbings and stuff like that. It got pretty great as well. But what I was saying was these shanks. The way of tying flies with these shanks is just, it's freaking awesome. You know, it really just is really awesome because you could, I did a shrimp also that it only had one shank, but still it had a shank, and that moved really crazy as well, and all types of smaller bait fish and you know, even nymphs, but a woolly bugger. If you tied a woolly bugger like that, it would be crazy good looking in the water. So I mean, the way of tying flies with these spawn shanks is just something I think. I know I'm not the first one to do this, and there is a guy in Denmark called John. His name is John Mortensen, and he did a lot of this type of flies, and also a worm. A worm like this, he something 10, 12, 14 years ago, but I never saw those. And he was very excited about that way back. So I kind of reinvented something that was already there. So of course I'm not gonna take credit for that, but still I think I think it's for certain types of flies. This way of making them articulated is just awesome, and for all streamers of, you know, smaller to big size, if you add one or two of these shanks in there and really apply that, you just get a fly that moves so much more good in the water. It's really cool. Yeah, I just wanted to let you just one a thing here I wanted to show you, because I have the full material kit for the worm here. Just 1 second. Here is a link to the worm in the Danish shop. So, and I'm gonna send you a link to, if you're from you know, anywhere else in Denmark and you want to visit the shop and see the materials in and read about the materials in English. Let me see. Here it is, the material kit, and as I said, it's fairly inexpensive. But in the kit that I'm gonna show you here, the shanks kit that I have selected for you to the hook is an Arix Gamos. The shanks kit I've selected for this kit is a small shanks kit where I think there is 4 different sizes and then 5 of each, just to get you started. As I was showing you, if this is something that you really believe in, then these spawn kits here with a lot more shanks and a lot more different sizes is a good way of getting a load of shanks, and of course a nice little box that you can use afterwards for whatever you need. So doing this articulated thing for coast flies, for perch flies, for pike flies as well, for many saltwater flies, for all sorts of different types of flies that are of a certain size. Because if the flies are too small, then a fly like this probably doesn't make a lot of sense of making articulated. But for bigger trout flies, it definitely does, and I'm gonna do this a lot more than what I've done in the past, at least. I'm gonna try to do a pedigrees, an articulated pedigrees, and so on as well. Jakob, yeah, of course I have some excellent advice for you. If you look at the shop, then I have some very good beginner pike fly patterns. There is even a section that's called good pike flies to start out with. I'm just gonna send you a link in the chat now. That link, Jacob, is for pike flies, and in particular, there is two. There's more than 2, but there is in particular 2 patterns that are really good, and all of the patterns here, they have a video that shows you exactly how to do it. So the high-low fly and the flash pike streamer are 2 fairly inexpensive, fairly easy to make, absolutely killer pike flies. So the high-low fly and the flash pike streamer. Yeah, Henrik. Whiting is unfortunately very difficult to work with. I've heard that we have quite a big order, almost ready to ship from whiting. It's been 3 months, maybe more like 4 months since we got our last order, and we placed our last order the day after we got that order. So with the corona and they are having troubles with. I think they're having troubles with having enough staff on the farm and stuff like that. It's just difficult, Radar 1, regarding the tying thread, then if the 50 dinya, the 50D 50 dinya is the one that is used for the most things. The 100 is for bigger flies. The 150 and the 200 is mainly for pike flies and really, really, really big saltwater flies. But the one I use for my coast fishing, for my coast flies, for my also I did for this one is the 50 dinya. That's the most sold one and the most used. And the 30 dinya you can use for even smaller flies. Yeah, I'm sorry, Henrik. If you send me an email, I'll let you know as soon as I know more, and I'll send you an email when they're in stock, so you will be able to buy one. So I can put you on the list. Fiskeman, regarding the fly reel, then you definitely need a bigger reel than you do for your one-handed rod. It's a question about balance, but it's also a question about how much backing you need, because for a switch rod, well, basically you're probably going to use that a lot more like a two-handed rod than a one-handed rod. You're probably going to bring it to Norway, and you're going to fish for big, strong fish like salmon. So I would say a bigger reel. If you write me an email, Daniel at daniel@nordicanglers.com, then and tell me og fortæller mig, hvad for en stang du har, så skal vi nok finde ud af noget med hjul. Perfekt, Henrik, perfekt. Well, I think that about sums it up for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Maybe we should do one of these live streams where I didn't tie as much and basically just answered all the questions that you have. I could show some gear and stuff like that, or we could just talk about gear. We're gonna do some of those in Danish, where the focus is gonna be to mainly talk about the upcoming start of the salmon season, or the upcoming start of the coastal fishing and stuff like that. It's really wet now, of course. That's how it that's how it looks when it's wet. Not as interesting as it did before, but you saw it in the tank there. It just looks freaking awesome. And it really is not that heavy. It really is not that heavy. Oh well, thank you a lot for watching, and remember, as always, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel, and swing by Nordic Anglers, the web shop. That would mean a lot to me if you would consider buying some of your fly tying or your fly fishing equipment in my shop. Thank you.